Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let That Sink In. We are on episode 7. My name is Tiffany Smith, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications here at PM and Associates. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Todd Morgan, who is an outside sales rep in St. Louis. How you doing, Todd?
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And today we are joined by a very special guest, Paul Gallagher, who is an instructor at the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local 562 Training Center. Hi, Paul. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Paul, I'm going to jump right in here and ask you to give us tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do at the Plumbers and Pipefitters Training Center.
Sure. We live in St. Louis, and I was in the field for about 20 years. I came from, believe it or not, I was a restaurant manager. I went to night school and got HVAC degree, and I got organized in to the Plumbers and Pipefitters. I worked through many companies in St. Louis and got in with a service company, which is Integrated Facility Services, and was asked by our business manager, John O'Mara, to come up to the training school and be a full-time instructor. So I am a full-time day plumbing instructor, and I kind of emphasis on, service, kind of getting into both the residential and commercial service and, trying to take it into a different direction there.
That's fantastic. And how long have you been a member of the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union?
So I got initiated in 2000. So
okay.
That would give us 22 years.
That's awesome. That's great. So, you were in the field, Paul, and now you're an instructor. Are you no longer daily, Monday through Friday out there plumbing in the field at all? You're spending all your time at the education center?
So, yeah. So we teach Monday through Fridays, pretty much the whole 39-week training program. We're off in the summer. Due to the fact that we don't want to take our apprentices away for the summer work, because that's when the bulk of our work is being done. And so what we do is, so I don't work on the field anymore. We do kind of help out wherever we have to. If somebody needs a question or something, trying to guide them through something. But
how do you like the education side of this versus being in the field?
Well, it's a lot easier on your body.
I bet.
I went up to with the United Association of Plumbers and Pipefitters, and we do up to Ann Arbor, Michigan. We go to school. So we have instructors teaching instructors. And I completed that course last year, and I graduated this year with my associate's degree in construction, basically, construction communications. And so being that I got that background and got educated in that, I found it very easy to adapt and teaching apprentices up here.
Did you ever think you'd be a school teacher?
No. When you put it like that, Todd, no. When you put it and you think about that, no, school was probably not one of my strong subjects. Matter of fact, my senior year, I had 6 hours of study hall. So, it wasn't one of the big things I did.
That's the way to do it. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I kind of, we've got questions for you, but I knew that as we talked to you, it was going to bring up some new questions. And you just mentioned, you weren't necessarily a lover of school. And so maybe a 4-year college for you isn't what was in store for you, right? You wanted to get out and work. I know a lot of people who seem to be wired that way, that they're not really down with all the schooling, but they sure want to get to work. And that's why we wanted to have you on today is talk about a career in the plumbing industry. And so, the fact you mentioned the school makes me think not everybody's cut out for that. And not everybody wants to be strapped with the student loan debts and things like that. So an education through the trades and a career in the trades is really an excellent path for a lot of people. So how would a person go about taking that very first step to becoming a plumber with the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union?
So, one of the things you got to, you're absolutely right. There are certain people that can sit behind a desk. Some people can do things that they want to do. I have an older brother who's 19 months older than me, and he's an attorney. He can't probably change a light bulb in his house, but he can sit down. That's actually true. That's actually a true story. And but we'll talk about that.
Isn't there a joke about that? Like how many attorneys does it take to change a light bulb?
he had me come
I
out
don't
and
think
work on
that's
his faucet, and I couldn't see what was going on. So I asked him to go get me a light bulb, and I pulled the can light down, and he was amazed because he'd been working on trying to change that light bulb for about 6 months. But he can
That's
sit down and
fantastic.
he can read a novel
Sure.
in a
Yeah.
day, and
Yeah.
he can comprehend that, and he can remember stats that I don't even think I ever want to know.
Sure.
So absolutely, people that can do things and take things apart very easily and do certain
Mhm.
things when they get into going in, it is easier to work with your hands to put in there. So when we find those individuals, what we like for them to do, and there's plenty of them out there. We have a lot come through our training center that we interview. And the first step you have to go through is we want to have a monthly applications. So every month we open up, which I guess the best way to get into your application, you have to go in there and put your name in there. When that comes in, if you get in there, we can only do 30. Each month we do 30 applicants. Those people get in there and then we call them back for an interview after they send us their transcripts, high school transcripts, GED transcripts, any community college transcripts that they may have. After we do that, we call them in to read our standards. We try to have a very high standards. We call it the standards of excellence. They come in there. Are they agreeing to this? Yes, I'm agreed to hold myself to that standard also. And after doing that, we then send them into an interview process. That's usually done with a business agent, an instructor, and we sit down and talk to them. And out of that, we pick out the people that we think would be best for our organization. Does all of them get a call back? No. Now let's think about that for a minute. When you're doing 30 applications a month and times that's 360 people are applying a year.
Wow.
So we bought in this last apprenticeship about 190 students in the plumbers and pipe fitters. So even there, you have almost 170 people that are not going to be called back in. So it's very difficult for us to have these interviews. So when we do it, we are trying to take people that are going to help our organization the best.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, once they are accepted, how long are they in school? How long does the whole process take?
So a lot of times in Tiffany, we do is we like to see them do a 1 year pre-apprenticeship with the plumbers and pipe fitters. Now, remember, this is plumbers and pipe fitters. So what we're doing there is making sure that they want to do this.
Right.
Because the thing is, maybe they thought it would be okay to do, but then once they get into a company, maybe it's not for them.
Right.
So we give them an opportunity to be there for them and for us.
Yeah.
After they've been accepted into the apprenticeship program, usually in the first part of June, we bring them in there and we talk to them and we have an issue. We do a 5-year apprenticeship program.
Wow.
With 562. Now, every union is different throughout the United States and how they would train their apprentices. What we do is we have a block training program. So our apprentices come in a week at a time. They're a week away from their contractor. We pay them to come in and train. The local 562 plumbers and pipe fitters actually train them to come in. It's not a cost to the contractor. We pay them to come in and learn for that week's time.
Okay.
So for your first year apprentice, you come in for 5 weeks. Your second year apprentice is 4 weeks. Third year, 4 weeks. Fourth year apprentice is a 3-week program. And then our final week is a 2-week program. So where they come in and do it. By the time they're in the 5th year, we're getting them ready for getting their plumbing license. Because here in St. Louis, you want to have your St. Louis County plumber's license and your St. Louis City's license.
That's great.
Yes.
That is great.
So when they hit that 5-year point, Paul, do they then become journeymen at that point?
Well, so that's Todd. What they have to do is they're what we call 5th year complete. So once they've done that, once they get, for the plumbers, pipe fitters will be a little different, but for the plumbers, once they get their St. Louis County license, St. Louis City license, they then become what we would call a journeyman plumber.
Okay.
And then they get in there. Now they get their extra money that they would get on their check compared to a $39 an hour. And I don't know, have all the numbers in front of me. I'm just kind of waving it over there, how much they would get to the full benefits of the salary of being a journeyman. So you want to get your license. You want to study the test and get it.
So speaking of money, how much do these programs cost?
It costs the apprentice.
Yes.
It doesn't cost them anything.
Oh, it doesn't cost
Amazing.
them anything.
No,
That
Wow.
surprises me. I
So
had
when
no
we,
idea.
Yes.
and we pay them, and the only thing is we ask them for a $200 initiation fee
Mhm.
to
Okay.
come into the local, and usually that's for books.
Right.
Now, let's just get in there. Do we use it? We don't even use that we use that for training, basically. It doesn't go into anything that goes into that. So
That's
it doesn't cost
fantastic.
them anything.
Wow.
And they get paid as they go and they get trained. Now, and then here in our training center, we have backflow training. We have what we call our service lab. We have a sand pit, which is, gravel, where they can do ground roughs. We have a 3-story mock-up that you can simulate having a, apartment complex or a 3-story building. We have
Wow.
different things, pumps. We've been donated pumps by different places, Zoller, Viega, piping systems. Oh gosh, every kind of thing you think of, Zern, Watts, all these companies have donated. Simmons, I'm
Mhm.
trying to remember them all, Simmons and Chicago have donated. So many American Standards have donated stuff and helped us. And we're using those things to train our apprentices on how to do stuff. And then it's been great. It's been a great training process for them. So no, they come out with an education. If
And
they
they're also getting paid along the way while they're getting
Yeah.
education.
paid
That's
along the way.
fantastic. That's great.
That's paid. And when you look at it like this, and Todd, Tiffany, I just got to tell you, my daughter just passed the bar on Wednesday.
Oh,
she's
wow.
congratulations, Dad.
Thank you.
That's
you.
so
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome.
So 26 years old, she passed the bar. Yeah. And let me tell you, some of these guys with overtime will be making probably more
Right.
Yeah.
their first year than she
Yep.
will be in her
Right.
first year.
Yeah.
Now, is it sometime along the way, is it catch up with them? Absolutely. Hopefully
sure.
she'll do well. But I mean, as it first starts up, apprentices is a great opportunity.
What a
Let's
great
say
program.
$20.58 an hour. You're talking $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
fantastic.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
well,
make
And free education. Yeah.
education.
With that too, and then as you mentioned, you're a young person and you're making 40 grand a year, you're getting benefits, and you're not paying back mountains of student loans.
Right.
Your daughter passed the bar. For me, the college education for a doctor, for a lawyer, for somebody who's going to have this earning potential to be able to pay those loans back. Not everybody comes out of college making that kind of money or taking that type of a career path where their student loans are going to far exceed anything they're going to make for their lives and spend the rest of their lives paying these student loans back. Where I see young people coming into the trades and bam, right off as they get going, they don't have those loans and they're living so much better than their friends who are the exact same age who are coming out strapped with debt out of college.
Right.
Well, and if you figure it this way, Todd, is if you come out, like you say, you don't have those loans. Now, one of the things that we do try to require at the Plumbers and Pipefitters is that it is a competitive industry. It has gotten that way. As things have changed in the industry, we have to be faster. We have to be better. We have to get houses built quicker. We have to get buildings built quicker, where material has changed over the years. So a lot of times we would like to have a little jump start on our apprentices, and some of them actually do go to college for a few years. Some of them go to a trade school. Some of them come out of, which is a local in St. Louis, is a Rankin trade school. They may go to St. Charles Community College, which is doing some stuff on the welding end of it, and they may do such like that they may have a little bit of debt going to that. And but they're I don't want to say but they're ahead of some other people that don't.
Right.
Yeah, they have a little debt, and we'd like to see that because they're committed.
Right.
They're not going
Right.
to get their time and their 5 years, and they want to stay with us. We're making a commitment with them, and hopefully they're making a commitment with us at 562 that they're going to stay with us for a long time. So if you figure, if you're 22 years old, you spend 40 years as a plumber, we'd rather than be with 562. So
Absolutely.
Sure.
So you mentioned that, coming into the program, graduating or getting your certification, you can make upwards of 40,000 a year. What is the earning potential throughout the years?
Well, so Tiffany, when I was a service plumber in November, I was riding around with what we call a pre-apprentice.
Okay.
And he asked me, how much money. A lot of times we do that so they can ride around with us. I was on a service van, and I had made $120,000.
Wow.
It's a damn
That's
good living.
amazing.
$120,000, and I had a service van, so I didn't have to worry about a vehicle.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got to think
That's
about that for a
incredible.
while, and then how it
Are
works.
you
Now, I
taking
was very
applications for more?
No
Absolutely.
kidding. I'm coming to
But-
see you,
but-
Paul, when we wrap this
You're
up.
taking more applications, right?
So the funny thing about all that is one of the things that makes you make that money is that you got to be able to answer that phone.
Right.
Mhm.
When somebody calls you at 2:00 in the morning, you got to pick it up and go run that call, because that maintenance person or that homeowner is expecting you to be there.
Yeah,
But
Mhm.
once you get that relationship with them, they'll call you back. And so
absolutely.
you're having a customer the whole time. So customer relations is getting very big with us. Now, typically in construction, you probably wouldn't make up to that. That's more of a service end type end thing, but you could make depending on overtime and how quick the building was going up. But you have to remember, one of the things that in our industry, when you do construction, the first day you come on that job, you're working yourself out of a job, because once that building's done,
Mhm.
you have to look for another building to build.
That's such a
Sure.
good
And
point.
that, and that depends a lot on the economy. So
Sure.
Right.
sometimes, yeah, we're making great money now. The economy in St. Louis is great.
Yeah.
2008, the economy wasn't great. And it was hard. It was a hard years.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's one thing we try to tell the apprentices: don't go out and buy the new truck because you got in.
Right.
Stay where you're at.
And
Drive
work
the
hard.
old car that your mom and dad gave you, even if it's a minivan.
Yeah.
Hey now.
Drive the minivan
Yes.
and save money
And have the vision.
Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome.
Don't just jump out thinking you got a ton of money.
Right.
So, Paul, if I've completed the 5 years and I'm part of the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union, if let's say I'm a 20-year plumber, I'm where you are at this point,
Mhm.
right? 21. Can I come to the education center though and continue to get
Oh.
education?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
cool too.
So
Yeah.
let's take this for an example. Within the St. Louis County and the city, we have what's called educational units that we have to keep up.
Mhm.
So every 3 years, you have to have 12 credits. So you have to have continuous education the whole time.
Okay.
And we call them professional educational units, so
Mhm.
PEUs. And each time you come up here, when you get down to a certain level and you want to learn to water heaters, we could have a class on that, which would be 6 PUs, which would probably take 12 or 6 weeks until we come up to our training center at nights. And we offer those night classes from 4:30 to 7:30.
Oh, that's cool.
If I'm
Yeah.
a plumber and I want to do, and I want to get a little better at, be more marketable, I can come up and I can got my license in plumbing. I can get my license in pipe fitting. I can become a welder. I can become a certified welder. I can have my med gas license. I can do anything we want to do. Once you journey out, once you become
Yeah.
a journeyman, you can go back for any more education.
So you can be with the same students throughout their entire career, basically. You can see them through their entire career.
I can see them through their
Mhm.
5 years. Yeah, their 5 years training
Okay.
program. Yeah, I will see them. Then once they, Tiffany, once they get out, they may come back in a year or two and then start their educational units again.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah,
Gotcha.
you do see them again, and they're
Yeah.
getting the recertification in backflows, or they're getting a recertification in propane gas. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that is really kind of cool.
That's
And then
very
you,
cool.
you see them again, and you do build a relationship with them. So,
Right.
yeah, that
Right.
is-
Outside of the PEU part of it, again, if I'm a 15-year, 18-year plumber and there's maybe some new technology that has been
Absolutely.
introduced,
Yeah.
aside from a PEU, I can still come to the local 562 training center and just learn about the product, right? I just get
Yes.
educated and then go back out in the field, no PEU, but I
You-
have
you-
that
you-
resource there for my career.
Absolutely. So, and that's another thing. We reach out to a lot of our, our distributors, and we have them come in. Zoller comes in with their van, and they bring it on up here, and they do a training course on pumps.
The
We may
product
have the watch
trailer.
play.
Yes. We love the
Yes.
product
The
trailer.
Z-Wagon.
Yeah, the product
Yes,
trailer watch may
Z-Wagon.
come in and do the same thing. So we have the same thing. Water heater companies come in, and they may give a demonstration on their water heaters, which they can come in, or we offer that up to anybody. We will say, hey, you can come, and then we may, if we need people, we may get on the phone and call contractors, say, hey, we're doing this. And they
Mhm.
may send their guys up too. And we do it after work, 3:30, 4:30, and they can come up at any time and get training. Absolutely. Yes. And even if they're, and this is another thing we have to, if, for instance, a journeyman does get laid off, or he wants to come back up and retool himself, he
Mhm.
can come up on his own time and will learn to weld, sit in on a class if we have apprentices up here. We don't stop that at all, ever.
And that's not a charge. I mean, I can
fantastic.
come up there and get that
No.
education because I'm a
No.
member.
The
right?
only
That-
time you
Yeah.
have to pay for something is if it costs the local or the money to get that test done.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
When we go through ASSE, that costs money to get that test
Mhm.
done. So we have to, the applicant does it. The application process for something we have to St. Louis County to get that test done, we would have to charge you on that too.
Okay,
They have to pay for that.
sure.
How has
Totally
how has the minority participation been, Paul? As far as, are you seeing a rise in more minority participation within our trade? I mean, I know we can't speak to other trades. You're living in the plumbing world. I know that that's a need. And so I wanted to ask you if you're seeing an uptick in that, and also, is there anything that the local 562 is currently doing for an outreach, if you will, to try to attract more minority participation within the plumbing field?
We actually have what we call one of our it's called minority recruitment. His name is Fred Searcy,
Mhm.
and Fred Searcy will go to different places, different schools. He will go to Rankin. He will go to different schools in any area, and he will try to get them in to come up to what we would call our champions program. We do a 6-week champions program for minorities to come up and kind of learn the trade and see if they like it.
Mhm.
And if they're gonna work out with us and if they can do it. A lot of them could be 19, 20. I've had some 30 years old that went to Rankin School and got into doing through the champions program that way. We also, women will come through that. Any kind of minority will have
Mhm.
any kind of.
That was just going to be my question. I was going to
ethnicity,
say,
yes.
are women grouped in that, and what is the percentage of women that you have at your school right now?
Oh Lordy, that's be a rough one. We have I think we have 3 in the next class, 3 or 4 ladies in
Okay.
our next class of 30. So that
Good.
would be, is that 10%? A little bit
Yeah.
more than
That's
10%,
right.
a little
Yeah.
bit more than
Yeah.
10%. A little bit, I think it may be 3. So about
Yeah.
10%. Now, it again, when I went through the apprenticeship program, we had 2,
Right.
I
Right.
believe. And
Yeah.
are they both still in there? I think one is in there, the other one's not. But I mean, that's up to them how they
Sure.
work through it and how they want to
Mhm.
do it. Sometimes, life happens.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they may get out of the program after they get through the apprenticeship. They may get married. They may do whatever they want to do,
Sure.
but they're still a member of local 562.
That's
Plumbers and
great.
Pipefitters.
Yeah, as
long
women
you're-
in the plumbing industry, I'm a big champion for that. So that's
Yeah,
fantastic that they have such a great outreach program in your training center. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, we do. And then with the trades in there in October, they have I'm going to mess this up, but I think it's Women in the Trades Conference. And I don't remember if it's in Las Vegas or Los Angeles this year. And so
Okay.
we'll go there. And
That's great.
we send
Mhm.
a delegation from 562 to go up there.
That's
I know they
fantastic.
do that around St. Louis all the time. It's just what we want to do. There's nothing says, they can't do it. Hey, I raised a daughter and she's a lawyer. So, I mean, I
I
want them to have the whole life, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
There's nothing in there to come in there. And minority participation, we reach out all the time. It's great. We had a guy by the name of Josh Temple, who rode around with me for a long time when I was at IFS. He came into the program, and he's doing fantastic. And
That's
Josh is
awesome.
doing great. So most of those guys, we get a very good relationship with them. And again, they do the 6-week training program. Do they like it? Do we like them? Yes, we do. And we give them an opportunity. And then it's up to them at that moment, like anybody else, to
Sure.
move forward with it.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
constantly recruiting. We're constantly looking at people and seeing how they're going to do it. Fortunately, the apprenticeship program, after a while, you got to put a stop to it. You got to say, we can only have this amount of numbers.
Sure.
It's outweighing anything. So, and we
Yeah.
also have to look at who's retiring, what's going on in the next few years. I mean, if
Yep.
we oversaturate the market, then we're in problems, and then we have too many. So we always
Yeah.
want to look at that. So
Right.
Are you seeing a good number of young applicants these days? Is that getting better? Because I do know that a while back, at least a couple of years ago, like the average age of the plumber was somewhere in the 50s, and I was hoping that you'll be telling me you're seeing a large participation of young
Yes.
people.
You still get it. I just did a service class in 9. I think the oldest person was 30 years. I think the youngest person was 19.
That's
Wow.
great.
And the
fantastic.
youngest was a young lady. She was 19 years old.
That's
I
great.
And so we're talking about opportunities within this industry, which has been great to me as a manufacturer's rep. And most of the plumbers that I know, it's provided them with a great life and a great career. What if I'm 45 or 50 years old and I want to make a life change and become a plumber in the trades? Is that too old? Is there ever an age that it's too old for us to join the union and become a plumber?
There's once you raise your right hand and accept the responsibilities of being initiated in the local 562 and Plumbers and Pipefitters, you're a plumber and pipefitter.
I love it.
At any age, there's no difference in any of that stuff. You could be let's say for instance, a person that you may have had your own company as a plumber and you want to join the union. You decide, okay, I'm done. I want to do this. And you come into the union, we'll give you a basic little test to make sure that you're journeyman status, unless you have your journeyman license. And then you're in the program.
So that's cool. There's
That's fantastic.
so much opportunity.
There
So
is
much opportunity.
And in St. Louis right now, we have great things, but remember, we also have, the United States. So let's say in Las Vegas, they decide to build a big, huge thing and they need 100 people. They may call out and we may be able to send what we call travelers over to Las Vegas to help them get things done.
I've bumped into a few of them on local job sites here that have come from other states.
From other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's it seems like there's always some opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's outstanding. So Paul, we've talked a lot about the apprentice, the journeyman, and then obviously the end goal is a master plumber's license. Typically, and again, you've got to put the work in, you've got to do the education, but typically how long would it take or how difficult is it to become a master plumber?
Well, there again, I mean, I may be wrong on everything that goes in. I think, I'm not 100% sure, you do your apprenticeship, you have to do 5 years and then put an application in with the St. Louis County to get your master plumber's application to then take the test to become a master plumber. I believe that's a written test. I don't think that's a hands-on. And then I do believe, and again, I may be wrong on this, but I think it counts for the St. Louis City. So you're talking about, and once we get into it, you're talking 10 years after you start your apprenticeship, probably getting into becoming a master plumber. Why isn't everybody a master plumber? Because it does take some time to study, and you have to take a little bit of law, and you have to do all those things. One of the things that being a master plumber is you're either going to be working for a company and pulling permits for that or opening your own. And some people like myself just would rather work for somebody than
just want to plumb.
To do it.
Sure.
But some guys want to go out and they want to be the guy that does that. I don't know if I can handle that going on with as far as getting the debits and the credits all wired out.
Right.
I'm geared that way, but so that's why I chose not to do it.
So that master plumber's license is going to be a bit more on the business side of running, and yes, I see where you're going with it.
So more of it's Todd. It's more about the code, of course, is always important, and keeping up with the St. Louis County Code, and using the UPC, which is very important to us because it's Uniform Plumbing Code, and it's a good code that we like in St. Louis, and we have different amendments that we have. And what they do is you have to learn that, but then you also have to learn the business end of it, and and those are tests on that too. How are you going to do that? We don't want just everybody kind of going out there and doing it. I shouldn't say that we don't want everybody. We do want everybody to do it, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a big responsibility to have that master's license on there. So, but yeah, once they do the 5 years, they want to go do it, put in the application form, they're absolutely encouraged to do it, to get your master's license. And then that does cost you money to do that through the county. You have to pay that each year. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if you get it and you go work for somebody else, you can put it on hold, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Great information about just really how to get into the trade, how to get into the plumbing industry if you have an interest in working in this wonderful trade. Like
Absolutely.
I said, it's been good to me.
Yeah, we love the industry, obviously. Yes.
Mhm.
And so, Paul, where can people get more information on the 562 Training Center?
Okay, so if you were to go into the 562.org, that's on
Okay.
the website, you can go in there and you'll have to go look at this stuff and it will say something to training. And that's where you would start the initiation or the initial getting the application process started.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's how you'd want to do it. So you go through it and that kind of tells you how to do it through that website.
That's
So we have it.
perfect.
And then once you get in there, it's like, the 30, like I was telling you earlier, the 30 opens up on Tuesday night at, 12:30. And then you got, you put your application in, and the first 30 goes in. If you don't get it, you got to do it the next month.
Okay.
So, and a lot of people will get frustrated, but we just tell them, it's worth it. Just keep on getting in
Sure.
there. And once things roll out and we get a chance to interview you, so it
Absolutely.
goes great.
Well, if this
And we-
conversation has proven anything, it's definitely worth it. So yes.
Oh my gosh. And remember, we do have a pre-apprenticeship program, like I was telling you earlier, that once they get in there, we may not have them in a position in the apprenticeship, but they can still work for a contractor, and they can, we always negotiate with the minimum. It's be $15 an hour, but they can get as much as they find they're worth.
That's
So
great.
Already start earning and learning right
Yeah.
off the bat.
That's
that's
right.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank
That's
you
great.
so much, Paul. This has been such a great conversation, so much education and knowledge. We really appreciate you being here on a guest on Let That Sink. I'm going to try that one more time.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Paul. We appreciate you being on Let That Sink In today. Such a great conversation. And if you'd like to reach out to us as well, we can also get you connected to the 562 Training Center. You can go visit PM and Associates online at p-massoc.com or give us a call at 317-827-0419, and we will make sure and get you all the information. Thank you again, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Todd.
day.
All right, Tiffany, thank you so much.